This is 10 years later.
Ovo je 10 godina nakon toga.
I think that picture speaks for itself.
Ta slika govori samo za sebe.
If I would have a Greenland 2009 here,
Da bi imao Grenland 2009. godine,
almost the entire of Greenland would be covered in red.
gotovo čitav Grenland bi bio crven.
At the middle here, the ice sheet is 3,000 meter thick.
U sredini je znači taj led 3000 metara što je dubok.
And as I told you, whole Greenland is more than 2 times France big.
A Grenland je površine 2 Francuske.
What happens if all this ice will melt?
Što će se desiti kad se sav taj led raspusti?
Well, all researchers have said that that will lead to a catastrophe.
Svi istraživači se slažu da će to dovesti do katastrofe.
For instance, the sea level will rise with 7 meters.
Na primjer, površina mora će se podići 7 metara.
You live quite far away from the sea if you live here in Zagreb.
Vi živite prilično daleko od mora ako živite ovdje u Zagrebu.
In Stockholm, where I live in Sweden, my home will be covered with water.
U Stockholmu gdje ja živim, bit će moj dom posve pokriven vodom.
This is already happening in the southern part of the world, in Bangladesh, in southern India, in the Tuvalu Islands, in Micronesia, etc.
To se već dešava u južnoj hemisferi, znači u južnoj Indiji, Tuvalu, Mikroneziji i sličnim zemljama.
Climate change is not anything that is going to happen in 100, 200, 300 years ahead.
Klimatske promjene nisu nešto što će se dogoditi za 100, 200 ili 300 godina.
It's happening here and now.
To se dešava sada i ovdje.
That's why I think it's so important that we look on all factors that have an effect on climate change.
Zato mislim da je važno pogledati i sagledati sve čimbenike koji imaju utjecaj na klimatske promjene.
Have you seen this Al Gore film, An Inconvenient Truth?
Jeste li vidjeli film Ala Gora Neugodna istina?
I wish I could have a lift like he had when he went up to the roof, you remember?
Da barem imam
A lift.
lift.
And he went up with the lift up to the sea.
Išao je s liftom do stropa.
That was to describe the increase of CO2 emissions, carbon dioxide emissions.
Toliko je bilo visoko da on je opisivao znači povećanje emisije CO2.
Here we have the mid-18th century when Europe becomes industrialized, the Industrial Revolution.
Znači imamo sredinu 18. stoljeća, početak industrijske revolucije.
Here we can see how the emissions are peaking.
Ovdje vidimo kako se dižu emisije.
Never in the latest, at least 600,000 years, have the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere been so much, which it is today.
Nikad u zadnjih 600.000 godina znači razina CO2 nije bila toliko visoka.
So of course something has to be done.
Dakako nešto se mora poduzeti.
I'm a politician. When I meet people and when we debate in different parliaments, we debate a lot about traffic.
Ja sam političar i kad debatiramo u različitim znači parlamentima, puno debatiramo o prometu.
That's a big problem.
Transport je veliki problem.
We talk a lot about industry, huge factories emitting, I don't know what kind of dirt.
Pričamo znači o industriji, o velikim tvornicama koje proizvode veliki dim.
Also a big problem.
To je veliki problem.
We talk about how we build houses and that they consume a lot of electricity and heat.
Znači govorimo i o zgradama koje troše vrlo velike količine struje i topline.
But what surprised me when I started in the European Parliament in 2006 was that very little time was spent on how we live our life, what we eat.
Znači kad je počeo karijeru u Europskom parlamentu 2006. jako sam se iznenadio što se jako malo priča o načinu kako živimo i što jedemo.
According to Swedish studies, about 25% of the Swedish households' emissions of greenhouse gases comes from the food.
Znači, prema švedskom istraživanju, oko 25% emisija stakleničkih plinova dolazi od hrane.
So if 25% of our emissions come from what we eat, of course it's very important what we eat.
Znači ako 25% naših emisija dolazi od naše hrane, važno je što jedemo.
And this is what we eat.
A evo što jedemo.
The latest 50 years, the meat consumption in the world has been increasing fivefold.
Znači, u zadnjih 50 godina potrošnja mesa u svijetu se u peterostručila.
This goes to 2005. If we would have 2009, I can tell you that curve would just continue to increase.
Znači, da imamo i 2009 ovdje prikazano, ta krivulja bi nastavila rasti.
And the coming 50 years, what will happen?
U sljedećih 50 godina što će se dogoditi?
Well, the consumption will double.
Potrošnja će se udvostručiti.
That is according to the, well, a lot of studies. These figures are according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations.
Znači, to potvrđuju mnoge studije prema istraživanju.
A lot of meat means a lot of animals.
Mnogo mesa znači mnogo životinja.
I took this picture myself from Sweden, from a breeder of broiler chickens.
Ovo sam slikao znači na farmi broiler pilića.
In this terminal we have about 20,000 broiler chickens.
U ovoj zgradi imamo 20,000 brojlera.
There are so many animals, so if one move, everybody has to move.
Toliko je životinja da ako se jedna životinja pokune,
They are all
sve
each
se mora
other.
pomaknuti.
And they break the bones because they grow so quickly. In only 1 month's time, they grow from being smaller than my fist to be that big, 3 kilograms, and are sent into the
Te
slaughterhouse.
životinje u samo jednom mjesecu narastu od veličine šake do veličine veće od lopte i zbog toga imaju problema s kostima koje im se lome.
This is in rough figures the amount of domestic animals or animals in the meat and milk production that we have in the world.
Znači, ovo je na svjetskoj razini broj životinja koja se uzgaja za hranu i za mlijeko.
Chickens, 48 billions.
Znači, kokoši 48, to je pilić 48 milijardi.
Pigs, a bit more than a billion.
Svinja, više od milijardu.
Lamb and sheep, almost 1 billion too.
Janjadi, ovce, 800 milijuna.
Turkeys, 700 million.
Purice, 700 milijuna.
Cattle, that's cows and bulls, 300 million.
Krave, 300 milijuna.
As you can see here, if we include the chickens, all these animals are many times more than there are people living on Earth.
Ako uključimo piliće, sve ove životinje mnogo puta premašuju broj ljudi na zemlji.
All these animals, they have to eat something.
Sve te životinje moraju nešto jesti.
300 years ago, these animals, they weren't that many for a start, and they ate what we did not eat.
Znači prije 300 godina one nisu bile toliko velike, jele su ono što mi nismo jeli, naše ostatke.
Today they live in factories and they compete on the same food that we humans eat.
Danas žive na industrijskim farmama i jedu istu hranu koju ljudi i natječemo se s njima za tu hranu.
That is, for instance, why the soybean production has been increasing 9-fold since 1950.
Zato se od 1950. proizvodnja soje 9 puta povećala.
Why soybean? Is that because there are so many vegetarians eating soybeans?
Zašto soja? Zar toliko mnogo vegetarijanaca jede soju?
No, because the meat industry have discovered that soybean are the most the grain which is richest in the protein, and if you feed the animals with soybean, they will grow even quicker.
Ne, to je zato jer je mesna industrija otkrila da su sojine zrna zapravo najbogatija s proteinima i ako ih hrane time, onda će brzo narasti.
Only to my country, Sweden, we import yearly 300,000 of tons of soybeans from Brazil.
Znači, u Švedskoj se uvozi 300.000 tona sojinih zrna iz Brazila.
To the European Union, that figure is 44 million tons of soybeans.
U Europsku uniju to je 44 milijuna tona.